I am currently in the process of trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with my room. Because in mid-May or early May, mid-early May, I fully put my entire room and my entire life into about 10 or less tote bins or boxes and moved everything into the rest of the house. A lot of things have been my craft stuff was in here before, but there's still clothes in here. There's trash and boxes, and my Furbies are in here right now. They've been in here for a while. My laptop and my gaming stuff, I didn't even know where that was until now when I came in here. I don't know why my mom's clothes are in here. This is not how I had it set up for myself to make redoing my room as easy as possible on myself. Which is strange, but I know why now. And there's also still, these giant bookshelves are in my room. They're out here right now. I remember putting some of this over here to protect it. But these boxes and bins are all mine. That one I believe is mostly VHS tapes. That one is random shit. That one is books. This one is random shit. This one is figures and collectibles. This one is a random ass box of shit from my grandma and my dad mostly my dad. It's stuff from my dad's house from when he fully packed up my room and without me and sent it to me in 3 giant totes, and then got mad at me when I took a while to unpack those totes and go through them and return his stupid totes, because going through those boxes was very hard for me, because I had started full-time living at my mom's house before my mom took my dad to court. Because, I was 15 or 16. I was expressing very loudly how I couldn't live at my dad's house anymore because of how him and my stepmom were treating me. And how neglectful they were being to me. And how it was very emotionally affecting me so hard. And I ended up in the mental hospital for the 3rd time within a year and a half. And which really messed up my school stuff, by the way. But when I was in the mental hospital for the 3rd time, my mom and my dad had just gotten married, I believe, because they got married around that time in the summer in our living room. It was just, they had an actual wedding date. They were going to get married in October. But my mom literally one day was like, we were at a restaurant, the 3 of us, just having fucking lunch at a southern buffet, a small town Southern buffet, because I live in a small southern town. It's not small town southern buffet to us. It's soul food. It's, it is advertised as soul food, is advertised as, your grandma's homemade cooking buffet, and it's damn good. Southern old people cooking, oh, love it. I prefer the more seasoned kind. I don't like the non-seasoned white lady food. Which my mom did pretty good on seasoning her food, because she's from South Carolina. I am a 2nd generation of being South Carolinian. My mom grew up in Star. She was born in Star, South Carolina, which for those who don't know South Carolina, which I don't even really know where it is, she grew up near Anderson. My mom's last remaining family is in Anderson, besides her cousin, who is her sister, and my Aunt Christy. Auntie, I love you. I know we don't talk much. We try to call each other, but, she's busy raising her family. She has 3 adult kids that are all younger adults and a husband, and they're all neurodivergent, and most of them are fruity, and, she's taking her kids, and she's helping her kids get where they need to go in life, but she makes time for me when she can. If she can answer and pick up and talk to me for over an hour, she will. We've only talked maybe 5 times really good in the past 2 years since last time I saw her. Last time I saw her was when my mom died. My mom went into the hospital right before Valentine's Day after being over the past, I'd say, year and a half, because she had to quit her job in February of 2023 and applied for SSDI, disability, within the same month. And during 2023, she became more and more sick, in pain, disabled, to the point where, for the last few months of her life, she was completely bedbound. She was in so much pain. She could barely walk, even with help, without being in such excruciating pain. Her personality changed, everything about her was gone. And that was because, which the whole time Sam and me had been taking her to doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment after doctor's appointment. And, ER visit after ER visit because she was in so much pain. And, Sam would do everything he could. And was doing everything he could. It was a very stressful time for us because she was so sick and we were doing everything to try and get answers and get her help. And we weren't getting anywhere. And financially, it was crazy. We had to back burner the entirety of Sam's life and my life and Ruger to take care of my mom, which we all did happily because she's so important. And in February, her dad died in January, very unexpectedly. We hadn't seen him in 5 years because he chose his second wife's family over us, and had just become very not good to us, especially her. And I was very close to him growing up, so that was a very hard thing for me, because my mom was starting to talk to him more and trying to repair her relationship. And, I knew that, and I was expressing how I wanted to see him again, because I missed him. He was one of my favorite people growing up, especially when I didn't really have friends and was really, he babysitted me a lot. He watched me a lot of the time when I was growing up. He was very important to me. He was fun. He let me do other things my mom wouldn't do, like let me get candy and soda and, play iPad all day. I got to do dumb kid shit with him. And I got to see my little cousin all the time. He was my best friend growing up. His name's Thompson. That kid became tall. I have him on Facebook. I think I should reach out to him. They're very conservative Christian. Everything about their life is God related, so I'm not sure how that'll go. But the worst they can do is talk behind my back, and the things they're saying behind my back are just true. I'm queer and I'm disabled and I'm a tranny, and they really can't say anything that'll hurt me, because it's either true or self-proclaimed, or I'll admit it to their face that I am. So what's the worst that can happen? But he very unexpectedly died in January. By the time they got him to the hospital, he was already dead. He had a DNR. He was on a ventilator. He was on a ventilator long enough so the family could get there and say goodbye. That was the first time I had seen most of those family members in a very, very long time. And they were all very clearly didn't want me and my mom there. Besides Grammy Judy and Uncle Larry, which we'll get to them. That is Poppy's sister and her husband. My Aunt Christy's parents. He died, and I stayed in the hall. I didn't go in and say goodbye, though I did have to call Sam at work, and I had to talk to his boss at the time on that shift, and I was crying and calmly as best as I could, calmly trying to explain, hey, my mom's dad died. Like, Sam already knew and was, on standby to be ready for the call to leave work and come to the hospital in Rock Hill and, be with me and my mom. Because we needed him, especially my mom. That was her dad. She needed him. And so I called and was like, hey, can I get to Cato, or can you leave a note and be like, hey, you gotta come to the hospital. He's gone. We're here. Everybody's here. She needs you. And I remember his boss was very rude to me. And, gave him shit for leaving. And after that, he switched shifts. He switched work shifts after that. Especially because, he stayed on that shift for a little bit, actually, after that. But then in February, my mom went into the hospital, to the ER, at a recommendation of her doctor, for something else. I don't know why. But they did all the scans and all that. And in those scans, which she had just had a CT scan like a month prior. She had CT scans, she had all those scans. The CT scan showed brain cancer. And so they did more scans and more testing. It turns out her cancer had returned. She had cancer in 2017. She had breast cancer. She beat it under a year. It was stage 3. She did it alone. She didn't have anyone. She didn't have any money. She didn't have anyone. She did it alone. I will never be more proud of anyone in my life. My mom is the strongest and bravest and most courageous person I have ever met. But they found out it was cancer. And then once they had more solid answers, because I had been staying home and staying with Rue and just being at home while Sam went back and forth every day to Rock Hill from Lancaster, which is an hour drive one way, to stay with my mom during visiting hours. I remember our close family friend, Teresa, took me. They were just like, okay, we're going to go visit your mom. I was like, okay. And me and her drove down to Rock Hill, and we actually stopped at a Dollar General. And I got her a discount, Valentine's Day card and wrote in it. And I got her this stupid little dog stuffed animal that she named Taco. Taco's actually in her memory box still. Because it was Valentine's Day and she was in the hospital. And I wanted to do something for her. Because she always gave me Valentines and stuff growing up. And, I wanted to reciprocate. So I did that. She cried a lot. And they told me, she has cancer again. And they told me it's breast cancer, but it had spread to her brain, her liver, her bones, you know, and they tried to do treatment. They did. She was in the hospital for a little over half a month. She went in, I believe, February 12th. She came home on hospice March 1st, very suddenly. Me and Sam were so mad because we had no time to prepare. They were just like, yeah, she's coming home today. And Sam was like, is there any way you can literally give us even a few extra hours? And they were like, no. We have to have her out. So me and Sam rushed home, tried to get everything ready, which was not very good. You know, I remember when I found out she couldn't be treated because they had, same family friends had picked me up and were like, okay, we're gonna go see Mom. And I was like, all right. So I was there, I, you know, had my bag and all that, and they dropped me off, and I was in the lobby of the hospital, you know, checking in, and to, like, go up to where she was in the women's ward. And I remember Sam's mom was leaving, and she sees me, and she comes over to me, and she grabs me, and she's crying, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, baby, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you know, what the fuck are you talking about? And she just looks at me in confusion and goes, they can't treat her, she's going home. And I remember just freezing in that lobby and so loudly going, what the fuck? Like, so loudly that everybody looked at me. And I remember just in a blur grabbing my things and just as fast and desperately as I could just getting to her room. And I remember I, like, frantically opened the door and, like, got in the room and was in hysterics at that point. And it was just my mom and Sam sitting in there talking, kind of sitting together, you know, anxiously waiting for me to tell me. And I came in horrible distress, going, they can't treat you, you know, you're gonna die, you know, just absolute, just horror and fear. And I don't remember anything after that, really. I remember, you know, she came home. We had a birthday party for her. Auntie was there at that point. Auntie showed up. And Auntie's from, I don't know what state she lives in. St. Louis. Somewhere near St. Louis, I think. I don't fucking know. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to work on that. I've never really known where on the geography location she at. It's kind of confusing. Because she's moved a few times. But she came and stayed in a hotel here in Lancaster near the house, and her parents came from Anderson, which is about 3 hours away, and also stayed in the hotel. And for the last 8 days of my mom's life, we saw hospice once. They told me and Sam to give her protein and all this bullshit, and me and Sam looked at each other, and then Sam looked at the dude and said, she's dying, we're gonna give her whatever the fuck she wants, fuck off with that. Because he was saying it because she had a Coke bottle. Because my mom loved Coke. So that's what we gave her for the last, like, month and a half of her life. She always had Coke. Never ending supply. She didn't eat much. My aunt got her a really, really, really nice, one of those nothing but bundt cakes, carrot cake, birthday cakes. It was so good. I've rarely had nothing but bundt cakes because they're so expensive, but they're so good, and I love them. Their carrot cake is delicious. I also really like their funfetti. They're the only people that make cream cheese icing that I like, because I don't really like cream cheese icing. I actually don't like cream cheese icing, but I love carrot cake, and I like their cream cheese on their carrot cake. I just can't get it very often because it is expensive. You know, she got, like, little decorations and candles, and she got my mom a little birthday crown we still have. It's been sitting on Sam's dresser for 2 years. And, you know, we had a birthday party for her. It was just me, Sam, Ruger, Auntie, and Auntie's parents. I have videos of us singing to her and her clapping and being so excited. She was still alert and sitting up and more aware at that point. She was still trying to get out of bed and go to the bathroom, and would keep falling in the bathroom, and Sam, had to trap her in with a rollator because, we didn't want to hurt herself. And just over that 8 days, she got so much more worse and worse. She became yellow. She died on Friday, March 8th. She came home on her birthday, by the way. Ugh. I don't really remember much from that 8 days. It's all very blurry, but I remember I graduated high school that Wednesday. I remember they sent me to school for 1 day. And it was long enough to get me to sit down with Misty, who was my teacher, and her to explain to me that, she's graduating me early. She's calling the homeschool people. She's giving them my grades. She's getting them to rush my diploma. And she called them with me right there and told them my grades and told them, hey, we have a student whose mom is actively dying. They are so close, or, they just finished work. I was nowhere close. And told them, hey, here's the grades. I got all A's and B's. Thank you, Miss Steve. Hope the homeschool people didn't check my public school records because they would have seen you lie, dude. But, Miss T did that for me, and she went to Rock Hill personally and picked up a cap and gown for me and picked up my diploma. And on Wednesday, she came to my house with her daughter, who is the owner of the school I went to, and they officially graduated me as the first student to graduate from Kenekai Academy. I was the first person to ever graduate from Kenekai. And my mom saw me graduate high school. I don't remember it, really, to be honest. I remember crying. I remember walking in my cap and gown and them having to get my mom's attention and help her sit up, and she was yellow and her eyes were messed up and she didn't look like her. You can tell in the picture. She was so sick. She was gone at that point. She was barely alert. She was barely conscious. And we took pictures together. I like to believe that she knew enough of what was happening to know that I was graduating. Because all she ever wanted in life was to be a mother. And she had so many miscarriages. But then she got twins. And then they were born 3 months early. And then one of them died 9 days in. And the other one, had so many fucking issues. I was in the NICU for 95 days after I was born. I came home on oxygen. I was on oxygen for so long after I came home. I was born 1 pound, 9 ounces. I was so tiny. I had a brain bleed as a newborn. I had a heart murmur as a newborn. I had a PVA as a newborn. I had heart surgery as a newborn. I died. They brought me back. I've fought off death about 3 times now. Once as a newborn baby. Once for not killing myself so many times as a teenager and a preteen. I actively tried to kill myself for 8 years. That was fun. Yeah, I got out of that one. And then, my tonsils tried to kill me. Because medical people suck. I have warded off death 3 times now in my life. What the fuck? But she did everything for me to make sure that I would succeed and that I would be who I was and that she believed in me. The doctors and everyone in the world always told her that I wouldn't be much, that I would always be fully dependent on her, and that I was not going to grow up like normally. I was going to be, forever mentally regressed and very special needs. And as I got older, I started becoming more and more independent. But I was being abused by my dad until February 2026. So, and she was also being abused by my dad. She had been being abused by my dad for a very long time. And she fought through things that I could never imagine dealing with as an adult, because I went through them as a child, and I know how that affected me as an adult, and how warped and skewed my entire perception of life and people and how everything works because of all of the abuse and neglect I have dealt with my entire life. But she still made sure that I knew at the end of the day I would have her no matter what. No matter what, she would show up, she would take care of me, she would help me, and she would not judge me. And she did everything she could to encourage me to do what I wanted to do and to follow my dreams, and made sure that despite being in poverty for most of my life, she encouraged me to be an artist, to be creative, to not forget that I am a talented, creative person. She was my biggest supporter when I started making candy. I covered our kitchen table and kitchen floor in beads for months, to the point where Mom and Dad got so pissed about stepping on beads that they literally gave me half of the guest bedroom to turn into my crafting area so they wouldn't have to step on beads. And it was the most janky ass thing ever. I didn't have a chair. I would steal my stepdad's office chair, and it was 2 card tables that were so old and broken that were just piled with Tupperwares and things of beads. And, after she died, I spent over a year and a half in shock from her death. I don't have any of 2024, fun fact. The only reason I know anything about 2024 is because people told me or I found pictures. Otherwise, not there. And it never will be there. And that's fine with me. But in 2024, I ended up fleeing to my grandma's house. I was gonna stay at my grandma and grandpa's apartment in Spartanburg for a while, and they were gonna take care of me because I couldn't be in the house, and they knew. And my grandma's my best friend. She was prepared to take care of me. But then, one of the first nights I was there, my grandpa got up to go to the bathroom and shower, and he slipped and fell and hurt himself, and my grandma was freaking out. He couldn't get up. I had to call 911. That was the first time I ever called 911. I remember I very calmly called 911, told them what happened, was getting the information, like address and stuff for my grandma, told them, my grandma's with him, she's freaking out, he's like moaning in pain, but like is saying he's fine, but he's clearly not fine. I remember I stood outside in the like March, February, in the March, like freezing ass cold weather, in like shorts and a t-shirt, waiting for the ambulance for like 20 minutes. I was so cold, like my hands went numb type cold. And then EMS showed up, and I, took him inside, and they helped him, and they ended up taking him to the hospital, and he ended up, from that time on till July, being in and out of the hospital, declining rapidly. He died. That was a very weird period for my family. We learned a lot about each other, and we learned a lot about a lot of things generationally that I didn't catch up to until this year. But everyone has been very understanding and communicative with me about that. My grandpa died on July 4th. My grandma moved to Florida a week before with him to go live with my uncle, so my uncle could take care of them. Well, they got there, and my grandpa died. And then my grandma was in Florida. And my grandma has lived 2 hours away from me in Spartanburg, South Carolina, my whole life. I didn't get to see her as much as I wanted to, because my dad would never fucking take me there. I should have seen her so much more than I did as a child, because I wanted to see her. She was my best friend. I got to go stay with her maybe like a week at a time, maybe like twice a year, and we had occasional day trips, but that was about it. I wanted to go so much more often. My dad wouldn't take me, because he's like... But she moved to Florida. I was 19, 20, 19 when she moved to Florida. 2024. I spent a lot of time in Florida in 2024 and 2025. I was constantly going back and forth to Florida via plane and driving with family members. I flew alone for the first time in 2024 to go home from Florida. It was a bit scary, but I handled it, and then I proceeded to keep flying places by myself. In late 2024, I went on my first, solo, adult, independent, adventure. I went to Massachusetts to meet my online best friend, and it was great. Don't remember much of it, unfortunately, but I know it was great. Also, that was the first time I smoked weed. Thank you, Stella. But then, after that, I came back home, and I don't know, 2025's hazy. I had an incident happen in January with someone off Bumble that really affected me. And mind you, throughout all of 2024 and 2025, I was on and off dating apps, Hinge, Bumble, constantly having very small talking periods with people where they would mostly just sext me or sexualize me or talk sexually with me. And then they would realize I'm catching feelings and didn't want to hook up, which I made it clear on my profile. I want a relationship, not a hookup. They'd make up some bullshit excuse and ghost me or friend zone me. And, sometime I believe in February of 2025, I matched with someone named Hazel. I dated them for almost 6 months. They live in Charlotte. They're my age. They're also mentally abused by their parents. And, I didn't get to see them much. I only really got to see them when I went to visit them at work, when they worked at Build-A-Bear. We kissed in the back room. That was funny. The one time I got to actually spend time with them, which their parents were so homophobic and transphobic that I literally had to be a girl. Like, I had to go by my birth name to them out of safety. That's crazy. Hazel took me to a Halsey concert with them. And, the concert changed my life a bit. Like, the concert itself and the music and Halsey. But then me and Hazel went back to their house and I spent the night. And we ended up staying up all night. We had sex, which that was basically one of my first times having actual consensual sex with someone. Was it enjoyable? No. Neither of us knew what we were doing. But it was funny, and it was fun, and, like, you know, I enjoyed it, like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad memory, it's just neutral. We broke up shortly after that. And then they kept contacting me and then wanted to get back together and then didn't, and then, you know, was still trying to be my best friend, and every time, you know, they talked to me, they would be like, you still want to be friends with me? You still want to be friends with me? You know, like, being very anxious and pushing. They were being like an energy vampire, basically. And, so eventually I blocked them. I feel bad about that. He wouldn't listen about how I needed space. And, also during that time in April 2025, I became close friends with someone named Maddie and became a part of her friend group. They're all, as I know now, substance abusers of some form. Mostly drugs and alcohol. Some of them do very serious shit. It's scary. They're horrible people. They used to be. In different ways. Or I realize now. Yeah. I think I'm gonna ask Maddie for the shit I gave her back. Sorry. I'm just really tired. It's been a long few years. I haven't really gotten to sleep much. Really, the only sleep I got was when I was with Beck. Because, you know, safety. Because he would hold me all night. And when he falls asleep, his body becomes literal dead weight. So his arm would be around me, just like, you know, really heavily. And he'd be snoring in my ear. And I'd knock the fuck out. Because it was such loud reminders that I was safe. And he was right there. And if anything happened, he was right there and would do anything to protect me. And that was the first time I had that. because I can't sleep, because when I sleep, I'm vulnerable. And people might hurt me. People have hurt me. I don't have very clear memories of it, but I know people have hurt me while I was asleep. I don't know who, but I have suspicions. And I don't know if I will ever get the truth of it, but I at least can guaranteed say no. People have hurt me in my sleep, and I haven't been able to sleep since. That's scary. I didn't know that. That explains why I was able to sleep so well with Beth. Because I was literally safe. There was someone else with me who I knew loved me and cared for me and was ready to go to absolute war for me and ready to do whatever it took to protect me from all these people that hurt me. And I fucked it up. I finally get what I deserve. And I ruined it.